Do you like Art Deco? If you like it, this presentation is for you. It's about Art Deco in Copacabana, where I live. I'm a tour guide. My name is Klaus, and I want to share with you this presentation. So enjoy it, and please subscribe, share, and like it. Please, I'm a specialist in architecture and arts. And as you know, Rio is very known by its beauty, its mountains and beaches, as you've seen here, the Sugarloaf, the Red Beach here, Copacabana.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to speak about is about the buildings, the Art Deco buildings. They are mostly located here where I live. It's a corner of Copacabana named Lido. And that's I'm going to show you right now. For that, I'm going to speak about the past of Rio, some contests also, some curiosities that we have here in Rio. And I think you know about the sidewalks of Copacabana. That's very famous. It's the logo of the Copacabana. And you see the white and black stones here. They are the Portuguese stones, and they are the waves of Copacabana. That's a kind of... And here we landed in Leme. That's the part of Rio that Neila lives. So Neila, she's seeing us right now. And so Leme goes from Hilton, this tower here, to this point of view that we are. And I live, and the most Art Deco buildings, I live here in Lido, which is the Hilton until the Copacabana Palace. The Copacabana Palace, it's right here. And there are a few buildings here also in the end of the beach, the part of the beach named Posto 6. And that's I'm gonna show you right now. So in the past, during the late years of the 19th century, the beach was like that. And we see those small hills here. That hill doesn't exist anymore. Nowadays, there's a Copacabana Palace swimming pool here. And so all this part of the beach was named Leme. There was no Lido. Lido is a name that came later. By curiosity, let me just point at the Two Brothers Hill. From this point of view, it looks like very much the Sugarloaf. And let me point the Gavia Mountain here, okay? And let's see now the Church of Copacabana that gave the name to the neighborhood. And here we can see also the Two Brothers and the Gavia Mountain also. So this is the final part, the opposite way that we were. And in this opposite way, there was a fisherman village. You can see their boats here. And those are the house of the fishermen boats. And this house was the red light district called Mer Louise, because it belonged to a French woman at that time. And here is the road that goes to Ipanema, and here it's Ipanema. It's half a mile, 800 meters from Copacabana to Ipanema from this point. And the next photos that I'm gonna show you, it's a club in Art Deco style, and the club it's built now right here where are the boats, and I'm gonna show you a hotel also that took the place of the house of Mère Louise. So this is a club made in 1932. It's a modern building. It was even built by Lúcio Costa, the engineer of Brasilia, but it has many features of Art Deco. The building itself reminds us a boat. You see this kind of stairs. It's exactly the stairs that we have in a boat. This kind of stairs also. And also the decks or the verandas looks like the boats decks. And if we see from a different angle, we can see some other aspects of these buildings, of this building. And we can see some kind of windows that looks like the window of the ships also. So let's see the hotel. Nowadays we have the Fairmont. Before that, I want to point at this people going to the beach at that time. Turning of the century, in the 19th century, the beach culture started because it was recommended by doctors in order to have a good health. And the first building that we had in Copacabana was the Dr. Figueiredo Magalhães, which is the name of a street right now, was a clinic. And he used to recommend the sun and the baths in the Copacabana Sea, you know. So here we can see some flappers, you know, these ladies from the 20s on their swim suits going to the beach. So it has something to understand. We have to understand the context of that. And that was a casino from the 30s also. Nowadays, that casino doesn't exist anymore, but we have a hotel there. It's a Fairmont. In that time, it was a mixing between casino and hotel. Nowadays, the casino are forbidden in Brazil, but we still have a hotel that, by the way, reminds very much that one. And that one was the Casino Atlântico Hotel and Casino. It was built in Art Deco style. I'm going to show the features of the Art Deco a little bit later. I just want to immerse ourselves in the context of the history of Copacabana, to understand why and how Art Deco entered in this neighborhood. So Copacabana is surrounded by hills. So the first, in order to enter in Copacabana, it was necessary to make a tunnel, and they did that tunnel in the beginning of in the last years of the 19th century, beginning of 20th century, and that's the old tunnel. And nowadays we still call that the old tunnel, but of course nowadays it's much larger. But it was because of that tunnel that the people start to build in Copacabana and to have houses in Copacabana. The tunnel, it's in this sign here to the left. And so the first house they did here, and they left this part of Copacabana to build it a little bit later, you know. So that's why you're seeing that there are still some spaces here where the Art Deco buildings were built. The Copacabana Palace, which is not Art Deco, was built here in this place here. And I'm gonna show you the Copacabana Palace right now for you, because the landmark of Rio, it's not Art Deco, but it's the last eclectic building built in Copacabana. And another curiosity that if you look again this this photo here, you see that there is no streets here along the beach. And in the beginning of 20th century, Mayor of Rio did that Avenue Atlantica, which is very different now. But anyway, you see a jalopy here, you see the lights, so he did that. And at that time, there is another curiosity that he did the stones, the white and black stones, In the opposite way, because in the beginning, remember in the beginning of the presentation, I show you the waves of Copacabana in Portuguese stones in the opposite direction, parallel to the beach. You see, at first it was like that. So now we're gonna enter in Art Deco because I'm gonna speak about the flappers. And the flappers were part of it. It was women starting to go along on the streets. They could smoke, they could vote. So woman was leaving the kitchens to go to the restaurants, and that's part of the history of Copacabana. You see some villas that we don't have anymore, those villas, all buildings in Copacabana. And the streets is much larger now, and even the sands are much larger. So in that time, the time of the flappers, the crazy 20s, in Paris, we have an exhibition named Art Decorative Exhibitions. So that gave the name Art Deco. That's why Art Decorative. And here we can see 3 buildings in that style. But we had some other buildings, like that one that I'm going to show you right now, which was very famous, the Collectioner Building Pavilion of this exhibition. And here I'm going to point some features about Art Deco. So before Art Deco, we had eclecticism and like Beaux-Arts architecture, and also what was the architecture that they did in the turning of the century in Paris. And it was completely different from this kind of building. So instead having a lot of curves, a lot of decoration, the Art Deco, it's very simple and very pure lines, you know. So most of all, we see some volumes coming out from the other volumes, making that kind of staging that we're gonna see a lot in Art Deco. Instead of having a curly style like Art Nouveau, we had that just one kind of curve, which is the dynamic curve of Art Deco, which was always that curve, you know, not very curly, just one curve, you know. Instead of having columns very elaborate with capitals, we have very modern and very basic columns, you know. And the shape, even the shape of we don't see very well, but I'm gonna show you, speak about sculpture a little bit later when I show the price, because the price is Art Deco. Even the sculpture is very pure lines, you know, very simple lines, very economic lines. So the aspects and features of Art Deco, it's parapets, the curves, that's always that one. The eyebrows, very important. In some cities we see a lot. For example, in Copacabana we see a lot. In Miami Beach we see a lot of eyebrows. The columns, always very simple columns, and bandings. And of course, the staging effect that I'm just show you there in the outside of the building. But here we can see in the inside of the building also that staging. And also the column is very geometrical ones, you know, very geometrical furniture, everything very simple, very economic lines. The inspiration of Art Deco came from old ancient civilizations like the Incas and the Aztecas, like we are seeing here in those pyramids that we find a lot in South and Central America. But old civilizations like Egypt and also, for example, Roman and Greece. For example, here we have a Roman goddess that in Art Deco they use it a lot, that Roman goddess, which is Diana, the goddess of hunt. It's going to Diana is going to be a lot portrait in Art Deco, you know. The lines are different from the ancient civilizations. This is not kind of sculpture that the Romans, they used to do it. But anyway, we have the staging here again, as you can see on those elevators doors in Rockefeller Center. Here we have a kind of flower inspired in lotus flower. Here we see some elements that remind us the papyrus of the Egypt, papyrus. So something that takes part of the decoration is the marble and noble material like wood, noble wood. That wood here in Brazil, we name it radica because it comes from the roots of the trees, you know. So very special woods, very special marble, everything very wealthy. So, and how the Art Deco came to Brazil is this, it can be explained with that the trips that the people they used to do it, including the boats, for example. That boat is a French one, Normandy, and the boat was completely decorated inside with the Art Deco decoration, and even the posters of those cruise companies, they were made in Art Deco style. So we see this Normandy arriving in Rio, and the way that the designer did is with that perspective, which is very, very common in Art Deco that we see a lot. So the people came to Brazil not just with boats, but with Zeppelin. The first trip of the Zeppelin was in 1930, and the Art Deco curve tried to give an emphasis in the dynamic curves of the means of transportation, because it's for the first time crowds, they started to travel even by air. So it was very interesting that, and thanks for the development of means of transportation, but of the development of the design of those dynamic curves that we can see here. We had that kind of development that influenced a lot the lines of the Art Deco styles. Imagine the people of Copacabana seeing the Zeppelin for the first time. It came first time in 1930 and then came again. And imagine the people in the Zeppelin seeing the Christ for the first time. The Christ is from 1931. So the Christ is, by the way, the biggest Art Deco statue in the world. So you see the very economic lines, very pure lines of the Art Deco here, very clear. And this kind of stripes that we see is we're gonna see not just in the buildings, but in the sculptures also. So in a way to give you a context of that era also, we have the movies theater, because the 20s and the 30s we had a lot of movies going on in Copacabana. It was a novelty, it was something new for the people. Imagine how the people wanted to go to these movies. And so we have a building of a movie theater named Cinema Americano, American movie, American cinema. And to explain Art Deco here, it's not very easy because the photo is not very clear, but also because of those trees, and also because the architect, it was a kind of Gaudí of Rio, you know, he was Italian, his name was Antonio Virzi, and he used to mix Art Deco with Art Nouveau. So we can see some elements of Art Deco and Art Nouveau here, but I will not explain Art Deco in this building because it's not very easy to understand. So here inside the movies, we used to see the films with the Art Deco aesthetics, like Metropolis, for example, a classical movie from Fritz Lang. And you can see here in the scenery some staging buildings, like the most famous building in the world, Art Deco, which is the Empire State Building, for example. And we can see that face of the rubble of these movies. It looks like the Christ in the sense of the economic lines, the pure lines, and even the letters of the film Metropolis, how it's written, it's very Art Deco also. Also, inside the movies, theaters, we have till nowadays this theater named Roxy, and here we can see some features of Art Deco. See the staging here, and we can see also that those volumes coming out from other volumes, you know, so very pure lines in the columns, and the staging that the architect took part here in the stairs. Very interesting, that solution that he found. And here is the newspaper of that time showing the grand opening of the new stations for the lifeguard men. We don't see very clear here, but I'm gonna show you here, which is we can see better. And so it's Art Deco building. And it reminds us a lot of some ships, you know, the towers of the command towers of the ships. It reminds a lot. Look, the curve, it's always the dynamic curves that I told you. The stairs looks like stairs from the boat. And here you can see some ladies drinking orange juice in this bar named Citrus. And I live very close to this square. Nowadays, there is a subway station here. And that's a photo of the 20s. And we can see a school here in Art Deco style. Look, always the same kind of curve. And see the elements that reminds a lot the window of a ship that we can see here also. So round shapes also. And this house, we still can see it nowadays. And nowadays, this is a park. It's named Chacrinha Park. And I live very, very close to this square. And this has nothing to do with Art Deco, but I want to show you because it gives a little bit the idea of the beach culture that we had here. And those kiosks to change clothes remind us a lot Italy. And Italy, those places, they are named Lido. So that's why the name of the place that I live, it's named Lido. By the way, there was a restaurant that gave name to this place named Lido also. So here we have an aerial view of Copacabana, and most of the buildings, as I told you, they are located in Lido. And let's start in the entrance of Copacabana. That's still Botafogo, but we have a church here that's very Art Deco church. It's the Church of Santa Teresa from France, not Santa Teresa from Italy. And it's very Art Deco style. See the stripes, see the bandings, see the statue of the Virgin of the Santa Teresa that reminds a lot the statue of the Christ in the sense of the economic lines. See the staging here going to the tower that we can see the staging here also. And let's cross that tunnel. I'm going to show you. We are in the entrance of Copacabana. This is the tunnel that goes, this is the new one. It's not the old one. It's we call the tunnel the new tunnel. And we're going to cross this, and we're going to find the Princess Isabel Street. And one side of Princess Isabel Street, we have the neighborhood of Leme that you can read here, Leme. So edifício, it's building. And Leme is the name of the building and the name of the neighborhood that I explained to you. I like very much that color because it is a color that they use a lot in Art Deco style, like not very, it's colorful, but at the same time it's pastel colors. And here we can see the bandings, and look, green and white, green and white. They had to do it here also in all the building also, but they never cared, and it's not very talented to do that. They painted everything the same color, but it was better to paint it as originally green and white. And look, always the same curve. So let's go to the other side of the street. Let's go to Lido, near the Copacabana Palace. And that in that street called Fernando Mendes, there is a lot of Art Deco buildings. But let me show you, let me give you a zoom of this one. And we can feel better Art Deco here, because you can see some volumes come from the main volumes, and those tiny volumes, they are the balconies. So this was essential here in Copacabana, those balconies. But it's a pity because most of the buildings, most of the apartments, they did like that apartment. They closed the window. And so sometimes you see an Art Deco building, but you don't recognize it immediately because of the closing of those balconies, you know. And for example, it's the case of this building. They closed all balconies, and so it's very hard to identify the Art Deco real here. But I'm gonna show you the Art Deco inside the lobby. There are many features, Art Deco features here. Come, for example, the chandeliers. This chandelier is huge. And you see that's very geometrical and very the same curve, the only curve that exists in Art Deco. Look, this passage of air of the elevators, how geometrical it is, how geometrical this slides also. Look, the door handle also with those details in Art Deco also. And even the letters, Art Deco letters, and the pointer of the elevator is Art Deco also. Let's see another building, very famous one. That one is named Itaoka. And that one, I prefer to show you the top of it first, because you're gonna recognize better the Art Deco. See the curve of the building, always the same curve, the same angle of curves, let's say like that. And here you can see a protection net, but we can imagine the empty space here. There is an empty space. And we can see the other volumes come from the main volume also. But it's a pity again, because most of the balconies they were spoiled by those windows. And here we can see very clearly that the window was put here after the building. And worth of that, this is wood, and this is iron. So the people, they can do whatever they want, you know, so it's not very good for the architecture of the building. And so the entrance of the building is right there, and the entrance of the building we can recognize eyebrow, which is we have a lot in Copacabana. And let me show you a point of the building, a decoration of the building, which is that. This is a muiraquitã. It's kind of frog, and it belongs to a Amazon culture. And it's an amulet from the Amazon culture. Usually this frog is green, and we can see this frog all over. Here in the entrance of the building, we can see those frogs, you know? And so we can see the entrance that was designed by two Frenchmen, and they did also the fence here that you can see, and this ceramics on the entrance. And to understand why I explain about Amazon culture, let me show you the amulet itself, the frog. So it's tiny, and usually you use like a necklace. And let me show you a pattern of this Amazon culture tribe named the Marajó, because they live in the Marajó Island. So this is a pattern very typical from the Marajoaras. And this pattern was used a lot in Art Deco here in Brazil, because it's very geometrical pattern. And so, and another curiosity also, there are many words in Indian that sometimes we speak and we think that it's Portuguese, but as a matter of fact, it's Indian. And sometimes we don't know the meaning in Indian. So, for example, there are many places in Brazil which is the name start with Ita. And I'm telling you that because the name of the building is Itaoca. Ita, it's rock, and Oca, it's house. So the house made of stone, you know. And it was a period in Brazil that we wanted to emphasize the nationality. So that's why they use a lot this Marajoara, and the names also in Indian, you know. And for example, again, in Itaoca, the floors are decorated with this pattern, which is remind the Marajoara culture. And this is a chandelier, always in Itaoca. Itaoca, the decoration inside is not so good as another one that I'm gonna show you right after that. So this is Lido Square, and those three buildings, they are Art Deco. This one is Art Deco also, and I'm going to explain then I'm gonna show you the entrance of this building. The name of this building is Petrônio, but the famous one is this one, facing the beach. This one is named OK, or they used to call also Moreira Ribeiro, because it's the name of the owner of the house that was here. And they built the building to sell it, to sell the apartments. And if you pay attention, that kind of staging reminds a lot the Chrysler building in New York, the Empire State Building in New York, and at the past it reminds a little bit more, because for example, some windows, they were built in the balconies here. So imagine how it was before. And also the same problem, you see the balconies that the people, they transform into windows. So many things were added here after the construction of this building. But one thing which is very interesting, it's a curiosity about this building, because it was the first skyscraper in Rio. Nowadays, it's not a skyscraper, it has just 13 floors. But at that time, that was a skyscrapers in the 20s when it was built. Here you're gonna understand better, because we have the Lido Square with the Lido restaurant here. And here we can see the OK building. The first name was OK. Nowadays it's Ribeiro Moreira, which is the family. And you see the other buildings, they were tinier. So that one was the first one taller. And so there was a big difference in for the women changing their villas, their huge kitchens for those kind of apartments. But that time they could leave and eat at the restaurant alone if they wanted. So it was a whole contest, you know. It was not just an architect future, you know, it was a whole context that could explain this phenomenon. So next slide is the lobby. As I explained to you, the Art Deco lobbies, interiors, they use a lot of noble materials like mirrors that you can see here, like marble. By the way, they cut the marble in a way that they created intentionally this zigzag pattern, because this is our plaques of marble. So they created that zigzag pattern. You see the geometrical pattern in the on the floor, and they had to impress the owners of the apartments, the buyers, with a big lobby. It reminds a lot a lobby of a hotel, and every element has Art Deco decoration, including the this elevator that show the numbers you see here. It's Art Deco also. This was the interior of the bar, because below the building facing the beach, there is a bar named OK also. And it was part, this photo is from the 50s, not from the 20s, but it was very famous. Until nowadays, we have that kind of balconies that the French, they like a lot. So the people wanted to be seen, you know. So that kind of culture, beach culture, as I told you, started at the 20s. Restaurant cultures also, culture. And here's the Petronio building that I pointed up for you before. And look how many materials, like even marble from Siberia came from to decorate this building. And also geometric lines as Art Deco requests. And now we're going to take a look at the Copacabana Palace, which is not Art Deco, but it's a landmark. But next to Copacabana Palace, there is another beauty, a beauty from the 40s that belonged, I don't know if it's working now. I don't think so. Are you hearing me? Let me.
I'm here.
Ah, you can hear me.
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay, sorry. So
no, don't worry, you're good.
Okay, okay. I thought it was not good. So so here you can see the building next to the Copacabana Palace, which is belongs to Copacabana Palace, and this building was not modified, so you can see very well, very clear the staging. You can see the balconies, you know, and you can see different colors giving volumes coming out from Art Deco requests. So let's make a stop. Let's have a drink in Copacabana Palace by the pool. That pool is very famous. And even inside the pool, we can see some geometrization, and even the stairs in the pool. And even the handle of the pool is in a special shape, you know. And it's night, we don't see very well, but there are some Art Deco details. Just as a curiosity, this is the place where the people, they take the breakfast in the Copacabana Palace. It's named Pergola Restaurant. It's a better brunch that I had in my life. I was invited by a client, And here is the Cipriano, high-class restaurant. And this one is very, very famous, this building, especially the entrance of this building. The name is Itaí. Ita, always stone, like I told you. I, with an I, is river. And everything here refers to rivers. So the decorations, for example, we see a Yara here, which is a folkloric woman, which is a mermaid of not the sea, of not a sea mermaid, but a river mermaid, according to the Marajoara culture. And we see a star here. We see some waves here. We see this is we don't see very much, but it's like an octopus. There are some waves and the work of the entrance. Here there are some turtles, some river turtles. And I'm gonna show you inside. There is some other things that refers like aquatic plants, fish. This is a kind of waves also, you know. And we can see the Art Deco chandeliers and even the geometricization of the Art Deco passage for air in the elevators. So it's some details of this very famous building in Copacabana. Maybe the entrance, the Art Deco entrance, that one is the most famous. I live very close to those buildings here. And I have to say that many things were spoiled. For example, this is not original, of course. This is not original, where we see 4K here. And the fence here is not original, but inside this door, it's original. And all the building was preserved. So you can see very well the letters here, the Art Deco letters, the eyebrow, the staging everywhere, including in the windows, in the doors also. Even inside the building, if you enter, you're gonna see the details in Art Deco, the geometrization of that iron that belongs to the building also. And next to it, there is another Art Deco building, which is the Orania one. And they use the Marajoara decoration to put it more Art Deco. And this building has something curious, that this building has steam glasses. Steam glasses that is not very often we see in buildings here, just in church, you know, but this one has one signed by an Italian artist that did many things, many churches here in Rio. We can see the noble material, the granite, and we can see also the Art Deco iron used in the entrance. And even in the sidewalk, the Portuguese sidewalk is very worked in the geometrical part. Inside, you see, even in the garage, they have a geometrization in the garage. Even the stairs, that's the signature of the artist that did the steam glasses, Formenti, Gaston Formenti, and even the pointer of the elevators. So many things are preserved, you know. And this building is the most famous one here in Rio, is talking about Art Deco, okay? It's the Guai. And it's in a corner. In this street, by curiosity, there is a farmer's market. It was today, that market. It's every Thursday. And that building reminds a lot Gotham City, you know. Gotham City, Batman one, it's Art Deco. But I will simplify a lot, but we can see that's mixing in between Gothic and Art Deco. So when you cross the lines, the vertical and horizontal stripes, you have that solution that reminds Gothic ceilings that I'm going to show you. The ceiling here, you see the church, the towers of the church growing to the sky. It's very tiny building. And look, the balcony, it's the only one in Rio, like the zigzag one with this zigzag pattern. And look, this fence here, the same motif we can see here in the door. And some people, they say that the door reminds a lot, you know, that kind of ornament that the Indians, they put it on their heads with feathers, you know. So it's a way to refers to the Indian culture. Even the name of the building is Guai, you know, so it's an Indian name also. Let's see from a different point of view that's building. Once it's one of the beautiful one. Once this one you can see better the building, the whole building. Here you can see better the balcony. Very often we see people taking photos of this building. And here I went to the top of another building and I took this photo, and we can see the original pavement of the balconies. And in all balconies, they have preserved the same. It's very well preserved. So it's a bit nicer one. We're talking about Art Deco, and it's the better preserved also. And this one is very simple, but I like this one very much because there's no air conditioning, you know, that we see everywhere in Rio. They never change anything. Just that drugstore here, pharmacy, but everything is very well preserved. So you see the geometric pattern everywhere, you know, even here, the zigzag pattern here. So it's very well preserved, that one. That one has a different name, Fabian, which don't match a lot. So this one, it's a palacete. It's the old-fashioned building, like a more eclectic one. And this one is a transition in between a palacete and Art Deco, because we can see some Art Deco features here, like in those fences here, in the door here, you know, there are some geometrization, some stripes, some bending, you know. So it's a passage of time. But even in that one, which is the old style, this eclectic one, we can find some things. For example, the entrance, it has that Diana that I told you, that is the hunter, the goddess of hunter in Roman culture, that in the Roman we see like that. And the Diana in Art Deco, they use the deer also, but usually they use a lot that kind of dog, you know, that very skinny dog, the whippet one, you know. And let me show you the next photo. Let's move from Lido to the final part of the beach, that one, which is that part of the beach which is very close to the Ipanema. Let's go there, to that part of the beach, which is Posto 6. And we're gonna see a very different building here in Rio, very strange, but made by an architect, very different one, the same one that did the movies theater that I show you. It's Antonio Virzi, And he was the Gaudí, I told you, of Rio at that time. Even he was Italian, but he worked a lot, and he used to mix a lot of Art Deco and Art Nouveau. In this building, he really did Art Deco, you know, but you have to see that it's a strange building. At that time was known as the windows with no, the house with no windows, but there were windows, there were passages of air, you know, inside, of course. And the name is Villot house, you know. And so you can see here this zigzag pattern that you can see everywhere here on those glasses, and even in the walls of this house. This is very strange house. And nowadays it's a library, especially for, here you see the details. So you see here there is passage for air entering. It's not exactly windows, it's kind of, it's not exactly steam glasses, it's colored glasses, but here there is entrance of the, or for air. And let me show you inside. So the name of architect, Antonio Virzi, Casa Villot, because the owner of the casa of the building was Mr. Villot. And you see how strange it is inside. So that's the bathroom. Look the bath tube, and look the entrance of the air here. Look the entrance of the air here. And you see the zigzag pattern also inside. You see the staging in the stairs. You see the library here better. It's very, very strange house, but even still Art Deco house. And I'm gonna finish with the building, which is in the very end of Copacabana Beach. That's the part of Copacabana Beach near Ipanema. This is the hotel I showed you in the Fairmont. That was the casino, you know. And the building that I want to speak is this one named Ipiranga, again an Indian name. And the building is this one, and it's the only building in the Copacabana Beach with those curved lines. You see here, it's very curved, very curved. The nickname of that building at the time was May West, because it looks like a breast, a woman's breast. And there's a curiosity of this building that the last floor was the Niemeyer office. You see the office, this last floor. And there is a paradox, because Niemeyer used to have his office here, and the other owners, they did whatever they wanted. So look, it's an architect, a world famous architect, having an office here. He could not manage the meeting in order to have the same window for this building. And here we can see some staging, we can see some details that I'm gonna show you better now. Some Art Deco details. Here you can see better the lines of this building, you know. And here you see other lines also of the building, the Art Deco lines. And to finish, I think it's a good idea to finish with this renovation. The building is Art Deco, but as Niemeyer, he managed to destroy many walls. He turned it in a very modern space. And you can see he had a sofa here that he's seated here. And this was his meeting table. So this is the round part of it. This is another round part of it. By the way, in this building, we have an excellent view of the beach and the Sugarloaf. So I just want to finish with that one, that image, because you know, first we spoke about Art Nouveau, then Art Deco, what's the subject, and we finish with this passage of Art Deco into modern space. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed